Imagine a life stripped bare. Decades spent in the cold embrace of a prison cell, with no name to call your own, no freedom to taste, and perhaps most terrifying of all, no face to show the world. This is not a work of fiction, but a chilling chapter from history. For over 34 years, one man was held captive by the French crown, his identity meticulously erased, his very existence cloaked in an impenetrable veil of secrecy. His guards were given an absolute, unwavering command: if his face were ever glimpsed, they were to kill him immediately. Such extreme measures begged the question: who was this man, and what secret could possibly be worth such extraordinary lengths of concealment? More than 3 centuries have passed, yet the mystery endures. The man in the iron mask, as he came to be known, remains one of the greatest unsolved identity puzzles in human history. The French crown, in its absolute power, went to unprecedented lengths to ensure this prisoner's true self would forever be a secret. Every transfer, every interaction, every detail of his existence was shrouded in a deliberate campaign of misinformation and fear. His story transcends simple captivity; it is a profound exploration of power, paranoia, and the desperate measures taken to protect a hidden truth. The truth may have died with the prisoner himself. To understand this profound mystery, we must first transport ourselves to 17th century France, a period dominated by the towering figure of King Louis XIV, famously known as the Sun King. He epitomized absolute monarchy, believing his power was granted directly by God. His lavish palace of Versailles was not merely a home, but a spectacular stage for his absolute authority. In such an environment, where the king's word was law, and dissent meant certain ruin, secrets held immense power. A threat to the crown was a threat to the entire kingdom, demanding immediate and often brutal suppression. The secrecy surrounding our prisoner was born from this intense political climate. The era of Louis XIV was a delicate dance of power, privilege, and perilous intrigue. The king's authority was absolute, but it was constantly challenged by internal rivalries among the nobility and by the ambitions of other European powers. Any hint of scandal or potential usurpation could ignite a devastating civil war or undermine the king's divine right to rule. Therefore, maintaining the illusion of an invincible, divinely ordained monarch was paramount. Within this high-stakes environment, the existence of a prisoner whose identity was deemed too dangerous to reveal was a testament to the profound political anxieties that simmered beneath the opulent surface of Versailles. What secret could be so destabilizing? The first verifiable record of this extraordinary prisoner emerges in July 1669. A letter, penned by the powerful Minister of State, François-Michel Le Tellier, Marquis de Louvois, reveals the initial details. Louvois, Louis XIV's trusted war minister, wrote to the governor of the fortress prison of Pignerol, Benign d'Auvergne de Saint-Mars. The letter instructed Saint-Mars to prepare a special cell for a new prisoner, codenamed Eustache Dogger. This was no ordinary inmate. The orders stipulated that Dogger was to be kept in absolute isolation, allowed no contact, and was to speak only when absolutely necessary, under threat of death. This official correspondence marks the beginning of a 34-year saga of secrecy. Pignerol, nestled in the Alps, was not merely a prison, it was a maximum security fortress reserved for state prisoners, often high-ranking officials who had fallen from grace. Saint-Mars, the governor, was a man known for his discretion and loyalty to the king. The specific instructions given to him regarding Dogger were unprecedented. The cell was to be fortified, secured with multiple locks, and a constant watch maintained. No one, not even other prison staff, was to see Dogger's face or hear his voice unfiltered. This was a deliberate and calculated effort to erase an identity, turning a living person into a non-entity. The prisoner was to exist, but not be known. While the popular image, popularized by author Alexandre Dumas, is of a man in an iron mask, historical accounts suggest a different reality. The mask was likely made of black velvet, reinforced with metal straps, but pliable enough to allow breathing and eating. Crucially, it was designed not for torture, but for concealment. It was a symbol of his obliterated identity, a constant reminder that his true self was too dangerous for the world to know. Anytime he left his cell or encountered another human, the mask was to be worn. This wasn't merely a precaution, it was a psychological weapon, ensuring his isolation and preventing any recognition. His face was his forbidden secret. In 1681, after 12 years at Pignerol, Saint Mars was promoted to governor of the Isle Sainte Marguerite prison, a small island fortress off the coast of Cannes. And with him, as always, went the mysterious prisoner. This transfer was carried out with the same chilling precision. The prisoner was transported in a closed litter, hidden from view, under the heaviest guard. At Sainte Marguerite, his cell was even more remote, perched precariously in a tower overlooking the sea. The island location offered an additional layer of natural security, making escape or external communication virtually impossible. The Crown's commitment to his anonymity was absolute, extending across land and sea. Then, in 1698, came the final transfer, to the infamous Bastille prison in Paris, the ultimate symbol of royal tyranny. Saint Mars, once again, was made governor, and his masked charge moved with him. By this point, the prisoner had spent nearly 3 decades in various fortresses. At the Bastille, his identity remained a secret even to most of the staff. He was simply the prisoner from Pignerol. The famous musketeer captain, D'Artagnan, who served at the Bastille, would have known of him, adding to the mystique. The anonymity was flawless, a testament to the iron will of the French crown. He died there, peacefully, in November 1703, buried under the assumed name Marchiali. Centuries later, historians embarked on a meticulous investigation, piecing together fragments of evidence. Their primary sources include official records, personal letters, and memoirs from those who served the crown. Key among these are the copious correspondences of the Marquis de Louvois, whose detailed instructions to Saint Mars paint a vivid picture of the prisoner's extreme isolation and the lengths taken to preserve his anonymity. These letters confirm the prisoner's existence, his numerous transfers, and the strict mandate regarding his concealed face. They are invaluable, yet frustratingly, they never explicitly reveal his true name, only the codename Eustache Dogger. Despite these records, significant gaps remain. Historians face a deliberate and expertly executed campaign of secrecy. Crucial documents that might reveal his identity are either missing, destroyed, or were never created. It's clear that the crown intended for the secret to die with the prisoner, erasing his past entirely. This lack of definitive evidence is precisely why the mystery has persisted. Every clue leads to another question, every piece of information seems to have been carefully curated to obscure rather than illuminate. The very absence of information becomes a potent piece of evidence, pointing to the profound importance of what was being hidden. Beyond official documents, some witness accounts provide tantalizing, though often contradictory, glimpses. Chaplain of the Bastille, Father Griffith, wrote about the prisoner's meek demeanor and high social standing. Other accounts speak of his refined manners, suggesting he was no common criminal. Yet, none of these anecdotal stories provide a clear, undeniable identification. The mask ensured his anonymity, even among those who interacted with him daily. These whispers, passed down through generations, only deepen the legend, fueling speculation and inspiring countless theories about who this faceless prisoner truly was, and what secret he carried that could threaten the mighty Sun King. One prominent theory suggests the man in the iron mask was Nicolas Fouquet, the superintendent of finances for Louis XIV. Fouquet was immensely wealthy and built a magnificent chateau at Vaux-le-Vicomte, rivaling the king's own estates. His extravagance and perceived arrogance offended Louis XIV, who had him arrested in 1661. Fouquet was sentenced to life imprisonment at Pignerol, under the watchful eye of Saint Mars. The connection is compelling. Fouquet was a powerful figure, a state prisoner, and in the right place at the right time. His fall from grace was sudden and absolute, his secrets potentially embarrassing to the crown, particularly concerning financial mismanagement and possible treason. However, the Fouquet theory faces significant contradictions. Records indicate Fouquet died in 1680, still imprisoned at Pignerol. The man in the iron mask, however, lived until 1703 and was transferred multiple times after 1680. Furthermore, Fouquet was not initially kept in the same absolute isolation as Dogger. While his secrets were sensitive, they primarily involved financial corruption, which was serious but perhaps not so existentially threatening to the monarchy that it required a lifetime of masked anonymity. Historians generally agree that while Fouquet was a key prisoner at Pignerol, he was not the man in the iron mask, though his imprisonment shared similarities. A more grounded, albeit less sensational, theory points to the actual name associated with the first known prisoner, Eustache d'Augre. Historical records show a figure named Eustache d'Augre was indeed arrested in 1669 and delivered to Pignerol. He was a valet, a personal servant, of a disgraced nobleman. The argument here is that d'Augre stumbled upon a profoundly dangerous secret while in service, perhaps a scandal involving a high-ranking family or even a royal figure. This secret, if revealed, could have caused immense political damage or personal humiliation to someone powerful. His social insignificance would have made his permanent disappearance easier to orchestrate, a pawn in a larger game. The strength of the Eustache d'Augre theory lies in the direct link between the name and the initial official letters and the prisoner. He was the only prisoner whose early records align perfectly with the man in the iron mask's transfers and the extreme security measures. The contradiction, however, lies in his perceived humble status. Why would a valet's secret warrant such extraordinary precautions, a mask, and the king's personal attention for decades? Some historians posit that d'Augre was simply a pseudonym for someone else, or that he was indeed a servant, but the secret he held was so explosive, so utterly threatening to the crown's image, that even a nobody became the most dangerous somebody. A more romantic, and certainly more dramatic, theory proposes that the man in the iron mask was an illegitimate son of King Louis XIV, or perhaps even another royal family member whose existence threatened the legitimate succession. Such a secret would undeniably justify the extreme measures of concealment. If the king had an undeclared child who could, by some twist of fate or legal interpretation, lay claim to the throne, his very existence would be a profound danger. The scandal, the challenge to legitimacy, and the potential for civil war were all very real concerns in a monarchy built on divine right and strict lineage. Hiding such a secret would be paramount. The most famous, and perhaps most captivating, theory was immortalized by Alexandre Dumas in his novel, The Man in the Iron Mask. Dumas posited that the prisoner was none other than the twin brother of King Louis XIV himself. Born minutes apart, one brother was secretly taken away to prevent any future challenge to the throne, should their father, Louis XIII, fear a dispute over succession. This twin, Philippe, allegedly grew up unaware of his true parentage until fate intervened. This theory captures the imagination because it explains the extreme secrecy, the high-ranking treatment, and the immense danger his unmasked face would pose to the very fabric of the kingdom. To see the king's exact double in a prison cell would shatter the divine mystique. While incredibly dramatic, the twin theory lacks substantial historical evidence. There are no credible birth records or royal correspondence that hint at the existence of a twin. While fascinating, it largely remains a work of fiction, captivating the public imagination for centuries. The strict historical context of French royal births, meticulously documented, makes the secret removal of a twin almost impossible to conceal entirely. However, the enduring appeal of this theory underscores the human need for a grand explanation to such an extraordinary mystery. A simple valet with a secret seems too mundane for a story so profoundly steeped in intrigue and secrecy. Finally, we consider the theory that the man in the iron mask was indeed a relatively unknown figure, perhaps Eustache d'Augre, but the secret he possessed was so profoundly compromising that it transcended his social standing. Imagine if he witnessed a truly heinous crime committed by a high-ranking noble, or uncovered a plot of regicide that involved figures too powerful to expose publicly. In such a scenario, the king would be forced to silence the witness, not the perpetrator, to avoid national scandal or civil unrest. This theory explains the extreme secrecy without relying on sensational royal bloodlines, focusing instead on the devastating power of a secret, regardless of who held it. The man in the iron mask remains an unparalleled historical enigma. We know for certain a prisoner existed, transferred between France's most secure fortresses for over 3 decades. We know his identity was deemed so dangerous that it had to be completely hidden, his face perpetually concealed behind a mask. We know the greatest minds of the French monarchy dedicated themselves to ensuring his anonymity, suggesting a secret of immense power and consequence. What began as a cold, bureaucratic order evolved into a haunting legend, inspiring authors, historians, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. The commitment to his secrecy was absolute, a testament to the sheer weight of the information he possessed, or who he truly was. Despite meticulous investigation and countless theories, no definitive answer has ever emerged. The identity of the man in the iron mask remains locked away, perhaps in the silent stone walls of the Bastille, or buried deep within the annals of a monarchy intent on erasing inconvenient truths. It is a story that reminds us of the profound power of secrecy, the lengths to which states will go to protect their image, and the enduring human fascination with what lies hidden. The man in the iron mask remains one of history's greatest unsolved identity mysteries. What do you think? Who was the man in the iron mask, and what secret did he carry? Share your theories in the comments below, and let's continue to unravel the legacy of the past.